Greetings, YouTube. If you're not watching this on Sunday, January 17th, if you happen to click on it after, this won't make as much sense. But yesterday, on Saturday, January 16th, I made a video where I talked about MCFC burnout. And in it, I discussed that it had been about a year since I had made a video that kind of linked to that, about when to leave your alliance, and I was kind of debating whether or not I should make an updated version of that video. And then I received a lot of really positive feedback, and I appreciate those of you that sent the feedback that said, yeah, I'd like to hear that because I'm kind of in a rut with my alliance. And so when I make these videos, I know this might seem kind of weird or strange or maybe even hard to believe, but I think the best analogy to know when you need to leave your alliance, it's like when you know when to break up with somebody. It's about the health of a relationship. And so there are several things that I'm going to talk about in this video today that closely mirror the advice I'd give to somebody as to whether or not they think they should stay in a romantic partnership, for example. First thing I want to say is if my alliance mates themselves click on this video, I have never been happier than in AOA Alliance. Not that I haven't been in great alliances before, especially the one before this one, DSKA. But at the same time, I have to think that I've learned a lot getting here, because I was also in some really terrible alliances that were like cutthroat, backstabbing, dramatic. Like it seemed like it was like a real life version of a Survivor TV show where you didn't know who was going to be kicked off every day when you woke up, or who is mysteriously going to vanish, right? Like, nothing is more frustrating than seeing somebody you care about get kicked out of an alliance because they're not good enough or their prestige isn't high enough. So they bring in some really high-rated account, and then that high-rated account, after like 1 week, ghosts the entire alliance and just leaves all the chats and leaves the alliance and says nothing. And suddenly that spot's full, and we could have just kept our member that, yeah, maybe didn't have the highest prestige, or yeah, wasn't the best at the game, but he was a really good dude, had been there for years, and had really been a strong staple for the cohesiveness of an alliance. Because at its core, when an alliance is functioning as a wonderful thing, it is a family, and it's friends. Like, how many of you watching this speak to your alliance mates more a day than you do your best friends in real life? How many of you speak to these alliance mates more than they speak to your family or your spouses or your partners? How many of you speak to your alliance mates more than you do anybody else? And how many of you have never even seen their faces or heard their voices? You just know them as their screen names. That's been my experience for the past 5 years playing this game. And so when it comes time to leave an alliance, there's some basic things you need to ask yourself. The first is everybody contributing on time? Now, this conversation's changed because it used to be treasury donations. And I was in an alliance where you asked people to donate their weekly treasury. I don't care if it's battle chips, loyalty, gold. And it was like hitting somebody up for rent money that wanted to be a deadbeat, right? It's like asking somebody to pay off their credit card, and it's like, nah, man, I'll just let those interest charges roll over. You know I'm good for it. No, I don't know that you're good for it because you never pay on time. And what's the big deal, man? You can cover me, right? Like that kind of conversation, it's infuriating. But also what's infuriating is jumping into something like Alliance Quest, and Alliance War is also this way, and you come dangerously close to completing and fully exploring the map because you know two things. One, there are certain people who you cannot count on no matter what day it is to move, and so they're holding you up and holding the alliance up. Or this is the thing that really bothers me, and I've got to be honest, I used to be this guy. If you ask me, what are you most terrified to do? Take on mini bosses in Alliance Quest. For the first couple of years, I was a deadbeat in some past alliances. I'll admit it. I was terrified because I knew I wasn't good enough. I knew my roster wasn't good enough, and I talked myself out of helping because I didn't want to lose my best champion in the first or second tier of the map. So we all know who the mini slayers are in the alliance. So if you just wait long enough, then they'll just take care of them because they have to, because they want to explore. So if you're waiting for the same 1 or 2 or 3 people to clear the mini bosses constantly, and most importantly, if you're the person that everybody's counting on to clear the mini because nobody wants to help out, that's a sign you should probably leave your alliance. That's a sign that you need to join a healthy alliance like the one I'm now in, where there's like at least 8 out of 10 people could take the mini. In fact, we have a healthy competition in my alliance to see who can take out the mini or the final boss now with Apocalypse, though he is a pain, which I guess that's how he should be. He's a final boss. Because we want to see who can get the most points. So it's gone from, man, nobody wants to take this, I'm going to be forced to, and hopefully I don't screw up because nobody's going to back me, to, oh man, dang it, I missed the mini chance again because I was too slow. Like, that's the kind of alliance that you want to be in. So that is my Alliance Quest rant, and it does, of course, equate also to Alliance War. If you've got somebody who cannot be counted on to clear their path, then that's just going to be an issue for you, even if they're a nice person. Second thing, though, and this is something that really affects middle tier players looking to progress. Are you someone that finds yourself way more dedicated to this game than everybody else? Or do you find that you are a casual player that's less dedicated than everybody else? Because both things are issues. If you're more dedicated than anybody else, then you may find that you want to progress at a rate that's a lot faster and a lot more dedicated than the people in your alliance. And so there's nothing wrong with that, but there is if you stay in the alliance, right? You need to leave your alliance, find greener pastures, and actually jump in with people who are as serious about the game as you are. But that comes with the price tag, because if you go from, say, map 3 all the way up to map 7 in Alliance Quest, or you go from a Silver War to eventually, who knows, Master, you may find that when you get to the top of the mountain, you're so burnt out and so exhausted that you need to get away again and just go to a semi-retired or retired alliance that just does Alliance Quest and maybe even Alliance War as optional to slow down. That's what I've done for the last couple of years, and it's been the best thing that ever happened to me. But I am fully convinced, even with my YouTube channel, if I had not done that, I would probably be either alliance free right now, or I would have just walked away from YouTube because I would be so burnt out given the stress. I felt like Alliance War especially was a second job. I felt like I was hurting my mental health by the stress that I would have to go into fights. And that was before the game would crash. That was before things would be bugged. And so now with all the issues and the better defenders, you couldn't pay me. You literally could not pay me to do Alliance War. I would refuse. So with that being said, let's say that you've watched this so far and you think, okay, my alliance has some of those lazy losers that Prof talked about that never move and always complain, people that ghost and are just terrible at communication. And it's not because they're at work or they're on a special trip. They just don't respond. Well, what do I do? Because maybe you're saying to yourself, I'm ready to move on, but it's like a relationship that you've been in for 2 or 3 years. And yeah, it's not great anymore. The fire's gone. But you still care about this person. You still care about these people. You don't want to burn a bridge because you do view these people as close friends. Again, you talk to them maybe more every day than you do your real life friends or even family, and you don't want to hurt friendships. Well, the first thing you want to do, if you are in leadership, you want to let the leadership know. If you're not, you want to let maybe your alliance leader know, hey, I just want you to know that I've really enjoyed my time here, even if you haven't. And I appreciate all the opportunities you've given me. I think with my account, I'm ready to move on to a different alliance, but I want to thank you for all that you've done for me, and I hope that we can keep in touch. I mean, if they say screw you, then fine. But what you don't want to do is one day do what a lot of people do, and it just infuriates me. And I don't know if it's like a bunch of high schoolers, because sometimes it's people who are like in their 40s and 50s, right? Who you don't tell anybody anything. They think that you're their friend, and you find what you think is a better situation. You leave the alliance abruptly, leave the chats, ghost everybody, and then jump into the new quote-unquote better alliance. That's being a terrible human being, and that's taking the cowardly way out in order to not have conflict resolution within the people that you're essentially, if you do that, screwing over. So yeah, that's just good advice in general to not do that with relationships or with your alliance. I also want to say that if you want to move on to a better alliance, I would not leave your alliance until you've got something lined up, unless you're comfortable with taking a little bit of a break from an alliance, because I can't tell you how many times I've heard from people who they leave their alliance because they were told that there's a spot open, but that spot was never confirmed, so they leave the alliance that they were maybe okay with and maybe would have gone another couple weeks, but they were told they had a spot, they left it, and then the people said, oh, sorry, that spot's no longer available, you're back on the wait list, and now they're like alliance free, which who knows, maybe that can be the best thing that ever happened to you in terms of a break. But if you don't need a break, it's going to be frustrating because you're going to be in between leaving an alliance and moving on to what you hope to be a better one. So this video is longer than usual, and I want to wrap it up here. But basically, don't be a douchebag when you have to leave your alliance for a better one, but also don't stay in an abusive, unhealthy relationship that's going to feel like a second job, and you have to treat adults like toddlers because they can't do things like communicate in appropriate ways or in a timely fashion. They can't be counted on to move and clear their path, whether it be Alliance Quest, Alliance War, or both. And it just makes the overall enjoyment of the game for you go down, which contributes to burnout, and it makes this game that's supposed to be fun end up feeling very much like the worst part of your day because, like I said, it's a second job, only, oh, hey, you don't get paid to do it. It's a volunteer effort. There you go, YouTube. I hope this video helps some of you. I'll make it again maybe in a year. But until then, let's end it here. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.